Packers fans. Welcome into Packersnews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, live from Lambeau Field. We are about 3 hours here from kickoff for Packers versus Cowboys, a game that had a lot of national attention when the schedule first came out, and now as the season has bumped along, seems to be definitely one-sided, at least according to the national narrative, as the 3-6 Packers welcome the 6-2 Cowboys, and of course, former coach Mike McCarthy, the 2010 Super Bowl winning coach here with the Packers. A lot of talk this week about Mike McCarthy and his return to Lambeau Field. We saw him come out this morning in the Vince Lombardi trench coat, and what his reception might be like here from the fans, and especially from quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who, of course, it was a little contentious, one might say, when Mike McCarthy was let go in 2018 with he and Rodgers. Rodgers talked a lot about that this week and about how, in hindsight, you can appreciate a little bit more what someone did for you and the part they had in your life. And, of course, when you win a Super Bowl with someone, it does bound you to that person forever. And he said that when he sees McCarthy today, he's going to give him a big hug, and then he hopes that the fans will give him a warm reception as well. Of course, then the game will start and things might get a little crazy. I see some questions coming in. Karen said, I just seen Rodgers walking in. He seemed down. Let's just hope he was mentally preparing and visualizing to win. That is his strategy, Karen. He always says he needs to manifest good energy and manifest a winning perspective. Of course, that has been a little hard to find for the Packers over the last 5 weeks. They are currently on a 5-game losing streak, 3-6 overall, as we said, with that first week 1 loss coming to the Vikings. And as this losing streak builds on top of each other, you see some of the guys in some of the locker rooms sort of reverting back to how it was before. Because, you know, when you win, you lose 1, you lose 2, and then you lose 3, you still feel like you can bounce back. You lose 5, it just sort of feels common. Jaire Alexander doesn't want that to become common. He doesn't want to see laughing. He doesn't want to see smiles. He wants to see guys passionate. He wants to see guys mad, so to speak. And if you watch during the games, it's often Jaire who is running up and down the sidelines, keeping guys motivated, keeping guys pumped up. So I asked him about that this week, about what it took to keep that motivation going and why it was so important. And he had a really long answer and a good answer at that. Let's hear from Jaire this week.
How is the morale this week?
Morale, shoot, everybody seemed to be the same, you know, so, hey, shoot, I don't know if that's good or bad, but we'll see, you know, because come Sunday, you know, we'll see who locked in, you know.
We see during the games, like, you're pretty passionate, going up and down the sidelines, trying to keep guys engaged. I mean, when you've had this losing streak, how tough is that to keep up, and why is it important for you to keep that up?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, you know, it's just something that happens because I really don't like losing. I really don't like losing, and I just get passionate, emotional about it. So I just want to pick everybody up. You know, when a bad play happens, you know, some guys, drop their heads. I'm like, yo, pick your head up, man. Like, it's like a long ass game. Like, I just don't like when people don't care or have the same energy. So like, I be just trying to bring the morale up. That's all. I think that when you care about something, and you're passionate about it, it kind of sits on you, It kind of weighs on you, and, for some guys, maybe it doesn't weigh on them, Maybe it's just kind of going fast for them, But, like, for myself, like, I'm just passionate about it, like, So I just be thinking about, like, every time I see somebody laughing, I'm like, why you laughing? Like, we losing right now. Like, that's my mindset, like, that's just because I'm competitive and I don't like to lose. So, like, that's just my edge. Everybody, some people will forget about it, going about their day, but like not me. I want to be the best. I want the team to be the best. I want to get a Super Bowl.
So you would like to see maybe more seriousness?
Yeah, I would like to see more seriousness. Who wouldn't? Like, it's not fun losing.
Well, Brad, it was sort of fortuitous that your question came in while that video was playing about what the atmosphere is like in the locker room this week, and I feel like Jaire Alexander sort of addressed it right there. That some guys are getting a little too loose in his opinion. And, does it work to stay loose or does it work to stay super focused? He said, I guess you'll see on the field today now. I see some other questions coming in. Let's see. Tyler asked, do you think the whole starting O-line plays? Tyler, your guess is as good as anybody's, and that's including Matt LaFleur. The inactives will come out an hour and a half before game time, so around 2 o'clock or 1:55 to be exact, and we will know for sure David Bakhtiari didn't practice on Wednesday, but he practiced on Thursday and Friday, same for Elton Jenkins. I think the fact that they practiced on Friday should be a good sign. However, I believe Bakhtiari was considered questionable. And that's just sort of the status right now with this offensive line and David Bakhtiari in particular. It's going to be week to week. It's going to be game to game to game. It's going to be day to day. It's going to be play to play for that matter. David Bakhtiari could be labeled active and then go through the last 90 minutes of warm-ups and enter the game. And they're doing the mic check here at Lambeau Field, if you can hear. And then he might go through warm-ups and not be ready and cannot play. He might go off the first series and the knee flare up and he can't play after that. It's literally going to be play for Bakhtiari and therefore this entire offensive line. And because of that, Zach Tom will have to be ready at all times. And that's what he said a couple of weeks ago to our Ryan Wood, that he just has to be prepared at any time to possibly start and play. We've got some other questions coming in here. Could wind play a factor? It was windy. It is windy. It was pretty windy this week. And Rich Bisaccia said on Thursday he was thankful that it was windy. It gave them a chance to practice special teams in the wind. And, of course, the way the wind hits in Lambeau Field is especially interesting because it comes down. You can't necessarily watch the flags. If you watch the flags, you have to go opposite. That's just the way the stadium is built. And I'm sorry if that mic check's a little loud, guys. But the way the stadium is built, the wind comes in and it bounces off and then bounces back the other way. And so it makes it a little difficult. And so if you're not used to it, Mason Crosby and now Pat O'Donnell are used to it. If you're not used to it, it can be a little difficult to grasp. And so wind could play a factor primarily on special teams, to answer your question there, Tyler. Bills are winning 17-7 against the Vikings. Thanks for that update, Linda. Of course, this game is probably going to be won or lost in the trenches regardless, especially thanks to the Cowboys' Micah Parsons. He legitimately could play all 11 positions on defense, and that's a once-in-a-generation type of player. Blocking him is easier said than done, of course. Micah Parsons said this week he doesn't want to get chipped a lot, but when you talk to the Packers in the locker room this week, they said that might be the only way to stop him. Both Robert Tonyan, who will possibly have to come in and help a lot on the offensive line to stop Micah Parsons, and Aaron Jones, who if the ball is not in his hands will have to do so as well, talked a lot about Micah Parsons. Let's hear what they had to say.
What did you do Micah Parsons or to stop Micah Parsons?
I don't really know if you can stop really anyone in this league. Everyone's so talented, but just kind of game planning for him and just knowing where he's at all times is the biggest thing to just kind of slow down his momentum and just kind of prevent him from being a game changer.
You don't have to tell us your game plan, but how much are you a part of that, knowing where he is at all times?
Everyone's a part of it. Everyone's a part of knowing where he's at, and they have very talented people on the defense, so just knowing where their defensive playmakers are. Yeah, like I said, just slowing him down or just knowing where he's at or sending the protection his way at all times.
Is stopping Micah Parsons easier said than done?
Definitely. You can talk about it, but you got to be about it. You got to put it to action. And he's a great player with a high motor, never stops playing, retraces from the quarterback to go make plays, different things like that. So you always got to be aware of a guy like that on the field.
If you're not the one with the ball in your hand on a play, is it just kind of everybody keep an eye on him to help block, or
just whoever's blocking him, just try to stay attached, and that goes for everybody, not just him, but just finishing. That's when it comes down to finishing your one-on-one battle.
He said this week he hopes he doesn't get chipped too much, but is that sort of the best answer for someone like him?
That's definitely a huge way to help your tackles when you have a dominant pass rusher like him, and I think you see it across the league when there's good pass rushers. You give your tackle some help to slow him down, and so you can get some plays off.
So as you heard there from Bobby and Aaron Jones, you just kind of have to try to slow him down. You're never going to fully stop Micah Parsons, but what can you do to at least alleviate some of the pressure for the guys around you and work away from him, which might be the best option when dealing with someone like Parsons. I see we have a couple other questions coming in. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Karen, I see your comment about Jaire. Let's go get this Jaire deep down. I know the real fans love you. Jaire and Rasul Douglas have been two refreshingly honest voices in the locker room the past couple of weeks and not sugarcoating anything about this 5-game losing streak and what has been going on to cause it. Rasul Douglas said this week, quite frankly, we suck because we suck. And there's no excuses. There's no other way to try to explain it away. It's just, it is what it is. And he said, if we don't get it together, we're going to be planning our vacations to Cabo a lot sooner than we want to. And when you have those voices in the locker room, it really kind of keeps everyone in a reality check, which is needed when you are technically, mathematically still in playoff contention. That could change this week with this game today versus the Cowboys and a short week versus the Titans. I do see we have some new comments. Let's hop down here. Tyler says, do you think Parsons scares the Packers more than Diggs? Yes, I do. Because Diggs, he was going to have his moments where he got open, but you could put someone on him like Jaire and try to take him away from the game. Micah Parsons, you're going to have to double team him. You might need to triple team him at times to truly take him out of the game. And then you leave a wide open lane for Van Der Esch, or you try to throw downfield away from Micah Parsons and you have to deal with Trayvon Diggs. That's the Diggs you were asking about, wasn't it, Tyler? I realize now. Apologies. I was thinking about the wrong Diggs. Micah Parsons does probably scare them more than Trayvon Diggs, but the two of them being on the front end and the back end really is pick your poison sort of scenario for the Packers and a Packers offense that has not been able to do much except for in the ground game. And of course, in the ground game, you do have to deal with Micah Parsons. I see now you said Trayvon Diggs. Let's see. Karen says Preston needs to come up big, and let's hope Walker shows what he is going to be worth in the future. A lot of your defense is now going to rely on Preston Smith because Rashawn Gary is out. Of course, you also are getting a lot of play from the rookie, Kingsley Enagbare, probably more so than anyone expected. You know, he is not Rashawn Gary, who is arguably the best player on this defense, one of the top 2 players on the team. But what you expected to get out of Enagbare as a rookie and what he is delivering is exceeding expectations. And so if you can swing your defense to Preston Smith and possibly blitz a lot more, affect the quarterback, because you're not going to have the pass rush there that you would with Rashawn Gary, so you might possibly need to blitz more, and blitz from the corner spot, blitz from the safety spot, blitz Jaire Alexander, blitz Keyshawn Nixon from the slot, who will now be playing the slot since Rasul Douglas is moving outside with Eric Stokes with the IR now. If you can blitz from the secondary spots as well, maybe even move Quay Walker a little bit to the outside and let him walk up to the line in certain situations if need be. I think we've seen Quay Walker's trajectory continue to go upward as the season has gone on. Now that Rashawn Gary is out, as you said, Karen, this can be where Quay Walker really shows what he's worth, what is his salt, especially with another game with Devondre Campbell out. So Quay Walker will continue to call the defensive plays. Can he handle the responsibility of that and more responsibility with Rashawn Gary out as well? You spend a first-round pick on this rookie. It's time for him to show if he can do it. Let's see. I think, and actually, now that we're talking about that, we're talking about this secondary sort of possibly needing to step up with Rashawn Gary out as well. The Packers picked up former 2019 first-round safety Jonathan Abram this week. He was waived by the Las Vegas Raiders. And so on paper you say, well, that's a first-round pick. And now the Packers have both first-round safeties from that 2019 draft in Jonathan Abram and Darnell Savage. Of course, on paper, does it sound better there than it does in reality? There's a reason that the Raiders waived him. And he just didn't fit into what they were wanting to do anymore, is the way Abram said it this week. He was rejoining, though, his best friend, Keyshawn Nixon, who was here. He followed Rich Bisaccia over from the Raiders this offseason. And a lot of this secondary is friends with Abram. They trained with him before, and they are excited to get him in. And he comes at the perfect time with Eric Stokes out because Jonathan Abram can play nickel safety, he can play free safety, he can play pretty much anything but corner. And so now you do have a lot more flexibility in your secondary. We heard from Jonathan Abram this week on his introduction to Green Bay. Let's hear from him now.
Past couple of days, I found out yesterday I was coming to Green Bay. They called and said I was on a 320 flight. It was 1:40. I had to pack a bag, get on the plane, and now I'm here today. I'm excited. I was, it's a fortunate situation, having to just up and move in the middle of the season. But, I look forward to the new start here. The guys have embraced me, the coaching staff have embraced me. It's been nothing but welcome and love. So I look forward to it. I don't have anything to prove, I played a lot of football, a lot of good football, and people around the league notice that, which is kind of why I'm here today. So, just like I said, I'm just happy for the opportunity. Yes, I actually play a lot of big nickel this year in Vegas. We had a lot of success with that package as well.
John can play anywhere, play all positions. A lot of football, he versatile.
It won't be difficult at all. Like I said, it's a lot of carryover from the previous systems that I have had. It's just more so terminology and then just applying it to the system that I'm in now.
And we was just talking about this a couple weeks ago. He like, damn, what if we played against with each other? I'm like, that'd be fire. God come right,
Oh, that's one of my best friends. I'm excited to be back here with him. We don't plan on enjoying the cold, but we're going to make the most out of it together. Probably going to make some snow angels or something.
We together every place we go, we always together. Like real friends. Yeah, BFF for real. I just hope he don't think he finna live with me. He go to the hotel or something. Can't stay with me.
Oh, I'm definitely staying at his house. For the worker, I'm staying with Keyshawn Nixon.
He gonna get on my nerves.
So, time for the national anthem rehearsal. As you heard there, though, Jonathan Abram and Keyshawn Nixon glad to be back together, provided a little spark to this secondary group, which had gotten a little disappointed after the Eric Stokes news came out. If you did miss it, Eric Stokes was placed on injured reserve yesterday with a knee and ankle injury. Matt LaFleur said on Friday he doesn't want to fully commit yet to saying it's season ending, but that is the fear. He has been seen in a boot, on crutches. For that matter, wide receiver Romeo Dobbs has also been seen on a scooter and in a boot. I talked to Romeo Dobbs this week about his injury, and he said, he's just taking it one day at a time. That's all you can do. He was in very, very good spirits. He seemed to feel like he would be able to make a recovery pretty quickly and a clean recovery, which is great news for the Packers, who have begun to depend on the rookie for a lot of their passing game. In his absence, of course, Christian Watson will return. He was not in concussion protocol last week, so Watson should be able to play today, as well as Sammy Watkins, Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard was limited this week with a shoulder injury in practice, but that's just sort of precautionary at this point. This is the last game that Randall Cobb has to remain on IR. Technically, yesterday, he was eligible to be elevated. He expects to be elevated by this Thursday's game. Talked to Randall Cobb in the locker room this week. He said the hope is to be back off IR this next week. He said if it was up to me, I never would have been put on it in the first place. He has been seen the past couple of weeks practicing during pregame warmups, which I'm sure we'll see him out here in just a little bit. And then he was working outside with the rehab group this past week. Amari Rodgers was also a late addition to the injury report with a hamstring injury, but Amari Rodgers, I don't know if you can see, is out here behind me right now warming up with Danny Etling, so he should likely be good to go. Of course, we will find that out around 2 p.m. when the inactives are released. Let's see if we have a couple more questions. Karen says, I think Lazard is going to be big because he knows his job is on the line. I don't know if I'd say his job is on the line, but he does know that this receiver core is really depending on him right now, and that if he's going to be wide receiver one, like he said he was, then this is another week when he really has to show it. He started to show it last week versus Detroit, and of course had that drop and then a touchdown that was missed. That was not so much on him. And so it's been hard. Of course, he's also had that shoulder injury, which has made it a little difficult. But this is one of those weeks where if the Packers have any chance of winning, yes, Allen Lazard will have to step up big. I think you could also see more from Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and Robert Tonyan as well as they look to counteract Micah Parsons and this strong Dallas defense. Well, guys, we are going to sign off. As I said, inactives will be out at 1:55, 2 p.m.-ish, so make sure to look for that on Packersnews.com. Ryan Wood will have it for you. And then make sure to follow Tom Silverside's live blog before and during the game. And then Pete and I will be here with you afterwards for our post-game Facebook Live, and we will have full wrap-up coverage from the locker room and the podium of the Packers versus the Cowboys. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.